miracle. Paul,
Yes.
how has your life changed since this happened to you?
Well, ironically, after the accident and the miracle, it didn't change. I was
Can you believe that, honey? It didn't change.
I was a.
Paul, what's it going to take to get through to you?
I was a stubborn man. Even though I had just come back to God, I remember just a few weeks before.
Yes, 3 weeks before.
You don't change your lifestyle or who you are after living a decade and a half as essentially a non-Christian. And I had developed a lot of bad habits. I had so much ego and pride, and I measured myself by how others viewed me, and I put my self-worth in how people, my own strengths and abilities. That I was fundamentally flawed, and I was healing, and ironically, 4 or 5 weeks after my accident, I was rear-ended at a stoplight by a youth pastor who was going to sell his car to fund his missionary trip.
Aww.
So the devil got 2 birds with 1 stone that day. He lost his funding of his missionary trip, and I went shattered in my car seat, having a secondary concussion on top of a concussion I was recovering from.
So you were injured much worse than this than the first
But you know
one.
what? I didn't learn. And God, God teaches us through pain and suffering, and I am certainly one to do that.
I know why you dropped on your head now, because you were hard-headed.
I'm very hard-headed.
God was trying to get through that skull of yours.
Absolutely. And it was I spiraled into fear. I spiraled into everything because I got mad at God. It was like, why am I in these circumstances? I'm this healed person, and now my life is not what it should be. And I'm a proud man, and I'm broken. God let me to keep everything in my life the same. I could work, I do everything, but you know what? All the physical things, all the things that I held my pride in was eliminated, and I was in fear. And God worked through me to teach me how to essentially, if I put my trust in anything other than Him, I'm essentially living on sand. I had spent a decade and a half trying to conform God to the image that I wanted Him to be. So I didn't have to adjust my life, instead of me conforming my life to God. And in fact, so if you look at my book, chapter 1 is the miracle. Every other chapter after that is me essentially overcoming all the pain and the suffering, and then learning God's grace, accepting it and giving it up to God, and learning, essentially. So now instead of a stubborn, egotistical man, I'm a very humbled man. I walk with humility. And so that's...
And so what are you doing now as far as the vision the Lord's given you for this second half of your life?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Are you open? Are you wide open?
I am walking in faith day by day. I thought I was being a missionary as a kid, and I walked away from that. Perhaps this is God's calling for me. I have told this story to many people, and they said you should write a book. And I'm like, I don't write books.
All right, now speaking of the book, tell people how they can get it, because that's a miracle too.
Yeah, as I was praying about it and just feeling about it, it's just that this is a story. This is my life. This is a second life that I have. I don't want to mess up. I don't deserve to be alive. Therefore, this story I want to give away free to anybody who will listen to it. Anybody who will read it. Now, I can't give that a hard copy away, but anybody that goes to my website, to pondergod.com, they can download the book for free. Tell their friends about it, share with their friends, download it. I don't care if I sell 4 books, but if thousands and thousands of people will download it, I am incredibly blessed, because it's just a story to tell. And it's not a story of 10 steps of healthy living. Is look at all the mistakes that I've made in my life, and look how only through God's grace have I found peace.
Yes.
All right, so tell us what you do at Microsoft.
I'm business development. I'm a director of business development for Xbox Live. So a lot of games or things that are related to getting on that business, to getting onto Xbox Live. I negotiate contracts or do anything
You're
with that.
concerned, aren't you, Paul, about how the media is distorting the way God wants us to live? Is that true?
I am, separate of Xbox, but from the media standpoint, for all those years that I was away from God, I defined my life by the movies and television and music and of the world, and it made me want to be what they're saying I should be, and that is such a distorted image. And funny, when I've actually worked in Hollywood and I lived in Beverly Hills, that experience really taught me to see behind the dream machine and see what it really is, and it really is a facade. It's an illusion, and the life that this modern day Western society that we've created of consumerism, right, where finances are tough or difficulties is tough. This is a shattering of the Western consumerism dream, but it may not be God's dream. And so that awakening is something that I'm passionate about, because I think we all need to wake up and understand what life really should be.
Okay, so if people go to pondergod.com, they can get a digital download for free.
Yes, absolutely.
Of the book, or if they want to get a hard copy, they can order it. A physical paper copy. And what kind of impact has the book made on people that have read it? What kind of feedback have you heard?
I've had tremendous feedback from from kids all the way to, you know, to 60, 70, 80-year-old individuals. It's 4 or 5 major stories in the single book, because it's essentially, it's my life. It's my entire life and all the things that I've learned.